Greetings, hello everyone. My name is Jose Luis Ledezma, also known as Agua, and director of MiLPA Music. I am from here, San Bernardino, currently in the studio, and so I have some questions to answer. And yeah, I hope you learn a little bit about me, about the story, and maybe get inspired with these answers. So, how do you usually describe the kind of creative work you do, if you choose to name it? Definitely a musician, visual arts, and I do lots of mixed media when it comes to the mask that I make, the papier-mache, and even with the music, there's a lot of visual arts that's part of it, besides the sounds and the composition. Yeah. What projects, ideas, or forms of creative work have you been holding your attention to lately? I've been really into the production, into editing, into telling the story. I love storytelling. I'm a teacher. I love storytelling to children, to an audience. That's one of my passions there. And so I've been doing lots of production, lots of music, practicing daily. So I've been living and working in San Bernardino for more than 20 years now, North San Bernardino, and yeah, I've been working through the San Bernardino Unified School District, Redlands Unified School District, and Montessori and Redlands. When you think about support for artists to thrive in your community, what comes to mind? Definitely being part of the community, for me at least, networking. That's the resource. I think people, and of course, funding, but I feel like that's where the real treasures are. Networking, because we have so many avenues to go. I like to focus on the work, but when it gets supported by the people, it like really brings the work to life. Are there tools, spaces, or forms of support you often hear artists wishing for? Again, yeah, it's always beautiful to share my art in spaces, and I'd like to keep it natural to where we use our natural elements, the tools that we've had here for thousands of years, such as those free tools, right, where it's just like giving a helping hand, using our just what we have available to us instead of dreaming of something. It's always great to dream. I'm a dreamer myself, but I also like to look at what's around me, what's my surroundings. Which of these feel most relevant to your own creative practice, if any? These are relevant to my creative practice because I'm a very social person. I think, again, having an audience, the community, having people to tell the story to, sometimes it's the story of the community, sometimes it's a personal story, sometimes it's a folkloric ancestral story describing our history. And so that's very important that I think people embrace maybe a part of their culture, a part of the stories around our environment. If access to these resources were easier, what might that shift for you, if anything? Especially in San Bernardino, I think having access to like a theater, because this is the art, the visual arts, right? Performing arts for me, at least. Having theater that have access to, I feel like there are some theaters, but I feel like there's a lot of red tape there. But having a community theater, so a lot of the stuff we do, I guess, is grassroots. We use the theater anywhere. We could play anywhere. At the same time, there isn't a whole lot of, with lighting and sound and where families could come, like free concerts. There isn't much of that. There has been glimpses, but there isn't much of it like other cities. So that's I feel like we could work on that in San Bernardino, having the performing arts more present and accessible for everyone. When you hear the word advocacy for artists, what does it mean to you? Being there, being present at the issues at hand. I feel one of the projects that we do with the drumming, yeah, it's to that cultural enrichment, the benefits of music, but yet it's also there, I feel, for the lack of musical, cultural resources around our community. So that's one of the reasons why it's important, at least for me, to present these instruments, this music, these drums to the community, to having access, having resources, due to the lack of programs out there. What kinds of support or advocacy would feel useful and appropriate right now? Yeah, again, the program is intended to advocate for cultural programs, art programs, music programs in our community. There's so many families that have come to me, where can I take my children to learn music, And so it depends where they're at, of course, instead of having to drive far away, people don't have access to drive to the next following city. So something locally for all ages, whoever's interested in exploring the world of music. If support systems were moving in a direction that felt right and positioned artists to thrive, what might that look like? Well, just like when a baby is born or a child is born, it's like it grows up. It all depends on the home that it's growing up in. If it has the elements, food, clothing, shelter, care, love, TLC, and so it's kind of similar. I think growing up also as an artist in an environment that supports and has that as nourishing and people value it, because art really is all around us. Everything designed comes from this artistic perspective or creative perspective, and so definitely the environment, setting it up, positioning the artist to thrive in support, care, TLC, and value just equally as any other profession. What values do you hope are centered when support for artists is being discussed or designed? Well, there's a lot of careers out there that, of course, you have a doctor, it's a high respect because they're healing, or helping people with illnesses and sickness and stuff, and so there's a great respect for doctors. And I feel when it comes to the arts, there is a similarity due to it's more of a soul revival. It's something inspirational to one's life, to one's being, and not only inspirational, but also there's messages within the artwork. I have seen pieces, I have heard music that was really inspirational and changed my life with, being at a crossroad, but literally being at a crossroad of life. I would hear this certain sound, this certain message that was carried through the song to allow me to say, hey, I don't want to go this way. I'm going to take this route, because I was listening to that music that helped me make the decision and, in a sense, kind of guide me. And I think that's what the power of music. It has the power to aim people towards a uplifting direction, and also be critical and observe about what's happening, at the same time reflecting one's own personal position in life and question, where are we to go, what am I to do? What feels important for others to understand about artists in this community? Now, speaking for myself, I know I have a lot of respect for all the mediums, whatever it may be. It may be, landscape, it may be construction, it may be teaching, it may be, photography, painting, whatever it is. I have a great respect for that, because I know it takes a puzzle to complete society or complete a community. You know, everyone has their role, everyone has their part. So whenever I hear somebody's doing this thing, it's like, yeah, let's go for it. That's cool, you know? I mean, there's somebody that designs these shoes, this clothing, these logos, you know, that form these hats, right? And everyone, I feel, has a value, you know, and everyone should be respected for that value. Certainly. What, if anything, helps you stay connected to your creative practice over time? I just feel like, I don't know, desire, dedication, determination, hard work, that really keeps me going. I know it's an inner fire thing, seeing a piece, hearing a piece, and it inspired me to keep, whoa, we could do this or we could do that, and just kind of keep growing until you find your joy. And sometimes the joy is the process, not necessarily the complete product. And that helps you stay connected to the creative practice for sure, is the process of it, the process of creating, be able to do what I love. You know, and also for me, having a family, having children, having a wife, I feel like that also, like, hey, if you're serious about being an artist, you know, you're gonna be real about this and sincere, and let it be part of your depths, you know, part of our genes. Because I'm not here to, like they say, fake it till you make it. You know, this is really who I am. You know, I got a whole community, a whole family behind me, and I'm serious about this. So I think that keeps my creative practice going over time sometimes, you know. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see you around in the jam circles, dancing, wherever it may be. Much love and respect.